Greetings, fellow starseeds. Today's topic is unconditional love and communication. I found a inspirational write-up by what they call the hummingbird community, and I want to use that to lean on how I perceive the world. That doesn't mean you have to perceive the world the way I do that. It's more about finding your divine guidance and divine essence. And these things are called self-responsible communication agreements. Meaning how we can try in a cosmic community, which is what we're building. I mentioned before cities of light. Things are in the process. Platforms are being created, ready to take place. A friend of mine said something like about being in contact. It's like, imagine the founder races all around Earth. They are very heavily involved in our creation. They know from the old paradigm is to make contact would be like you will try to reveal yourself in a nut house where everybody is insane, dysfunctional, and they all have guns. Would you, as an extraterrestrial species, make your presence felt in physical form when you know that? So we're here to understand evolution. I read articles about, that our friendly neighbors come for a checkup and they get shot at. So what would you think the higher aspects of me and others would feel about coming in knowing this is dangerous? Well, this is like if you would know the deepest parts of the ghetto or a ghetto planet. It's just a word, don't prosecute me for it. And you know everything is guns and stealing and people operate from lack and survival mode. It is not easy to go there and survive, or even make it alive. A friend of mine told me a story that he came here 20,000 years ago as an explorer. And he said they found a tribe and they were not supposed to make contact, but unfortunately it happened. And he said him and his crew got slaughtered. So through incarnation he got stuck on the Earth template. And he said his wife is going to be mad when he returns. And he said, I was just an explorer. I was, trying to find samples in the soil, check out this beautiful planet, but the density didn't allow my return in a timely fashion. So we tend to get stuck. That happens. But now to the communications and how we base that on free love and how we can bring that in, or how we can do only our best to make it work. And I'm not saying I'm the expert. I'm thriving to the highest probable outcome, the highest probable influence, and the most divine way. So Here's a few things that I take to heart, and I'm not perfect at it. Let's just go through the list. My intention for my communication with others, particularly when I'm holding different perspectives, is to achieve mutual in greater clarity and understanding and intimacy. I base that on unconditional love. Not an easy topic. Not an easy topic. Very hard to work with because we have our ego. I believe ego is important when you have to make something known that is, let's say, telepathically not picked up yet. Then you have to guide energy out. Ego, energy, guided out. If you misuse ego, then it would be edging God out, limiting the aspects of the God self. But then you have the opposite forces, the egai, or ejai, which is energy guided inward, or energy guided in. Which brings me to the next powerful idea. I take full self-responsibility for the feelings and perspectives I'm experiencing. Specifically, I understand that I'm giving the circumstances in my life all the meaning they have for me. I'm responsible for how I hold my feelings and perspectives, not anyone else. So I also see myself in, I'm responsible, and this will come up here later, not to shoulder others. Meaning like putting my unsolved, repetitive loop mechanistic behavior and psychological traumas upon people and dumping that, because the human race is used to that. Look at America, and specifically as in service countries, like, here's $50, can you do this for me? It's like, where's the feeling when energy is being exchanged and people do something for you in service? How's that? I appreciate if you could help me in this matter, and could you do this or that or that or this for me? And here's an exchange. And see, my demeanor is showing the appreciation that you are working with me, that I'm with you and I'm connecting. I realized when you are in relationships and you're too open, and that topic is not solved, it's a problem for the partner, or it can be a problem. Like, I'm a very communal person. I love everybody. I love everybody in Sedona. Those that know me and those that don't know me. I have nothing but love here. And those who can see with their heart know where my energy emanates from. I truly mean that. And I shall not give up in the belief that we can come to a medium, a common platform where all communicate the same language. And once we have achieved telepathy, there's less verbal skills needed to what needs to be done. Next, I understand that someone sharing his or her perspectives is not telling me about myself / community. The person is telling me about him or herself, which diminishes defensiveness on my part, and in turn helps to foster my ability to fully hear that person's point of view. Why I have to learn that if a person tells me a storyline, and let's say the storyline involves me, that I do my best not to react defensive, because I like to control the situation, because I think I know where peace is. That is impossible. That's the story of many of our lives, such as mine, that I try to steer it in a direction where it would make sense and the person would come into their own prosperity and their own joy. But realizing that the minute I let that go, the person had to actually take the route the soul has chosen for them. So what Eckhart Tolle says is, it is impossible for you to make anyone happy. It is an impossible task to make your partner, partners, or friends happy. What is possible, I've learned, is, can you be happy with yourself? That thing, I would say, is the highest meditative output that we have, and it can be measured with brain waves. We know that 80% of the people meditate and they think they're positive, and we can measure the brain waves and look into the alpha, beta, theta, and even gamma states and see that they're not happy. It's the fake happiness. There's a movie about it. I'll try to find it. If I find the link, I'll post that link. So I'm not making any promises. That talks about people in third world countries that smile and they're happy. And here's the trick. If you believe that you can't achieve more, you have to live in a shack. Do it like the mythical Jesus, which is a myth. Jesus was not poor. Then you are righteous and you're divine because you're struggling. You're camping, you don't have the place to stay, you don't want to define yourself, you're floating, you're all over the place. And I learned that Earth embraces you when you define yourself. When you bring your existence to a focal point and anchor your higher self into that where this is here in the now. If you can't do that with your vessel, your futuristic or higher aspectual self has problems anchoring in. Which brings me to the next sentence. I understand that the way someone else thinks and acts makes perfect sense to him or her. And I would very likely think and act the same as if I were that person. Yeah, somebody said I would make a pretty good cop or police officer. As a child, I played with the idea of being a detective, but more like a interdimensional detective or cosmic detective. Is growing up as a child with racism, and I'm not playing victim role here, this is a mere evaluation, I am over that, so don't misconceptualize that. I was used to, growing up in Germany in the 70s, well, that people were racist. That was a fact. Even my mother, German, was treated or looked at in a different way when they saw the kids she had with her. And then I realized, okay, when they asked me, are you mixed, are you white, are you black, I'm Apache, like Wandene, Navajo descent, you know, Afro-American, German, then it goes to Huguenots, and it even goes to the Gypsies and other cultures. You know, it's like, well, how would I define myself? Well, people try to put me in a box and say you're this or that, or you can be here, you can be there. I said, you know what, actually, I'm cosmic. And I'm coming from a multi-racial background, and I see everybody as cosmic. And we all have these iridescent rainbow colors that emits from our soul particles, and that's how I see everybody. I refuse to step into that concept of what that label or labeling that person is. I don't know how this person grew up, where the person came from, or where the person is going, nor can I make that person do anything. I can only know what I do for myself is when I felt not seen and I felt not felt, and people were angry. People were even angry at me for being me. I played ping pong when I was 12, and when I lost the game, you know, the psychological loop that I watched is that kids were happy when I would frown. And I couldn't step into that. Like, I don't know, I had like a little inner playground reward system where I said, okay, I lost the game, but I'm still happy. And I can play games every day because it is just a game. Now see that with life, or in life, that it is just that. It's a game for you to explore your consciousness and understand who you are. And it goes deep. And I was always like, oh yeah, Ra, you so deep, you so deep. I'm like, I refuse to be superficial. I refuse to be on the surface, running over everybody, thinking that I only know what's right, that I only have the solution to the world. Many of us do. Many of us try our best. And I realized, as when it comes into leader capacity, when I played with the kids, in the woods. And I said, okay, let's get a system together, you know. Everybody get together, dinner 1 o'clock at everybody's mommy's house. And then let's say 2 o'clock we meet at our adventurous playground. And I have an idea. I get the wood, others get nails, hammer, and then I created teams. And then we created little tree houses. And we had a directive that I led. And I kind of worked for it to be like a team leader. In school, I wasn't a spokesperson or anything big, and I wasn't even popular. I was like the so-so guy in school, you know. I was the class clown. My grades, so-so. So I didn't have the luxury of being, we want to invite this one because he needs to be at our party. It was actually the opposite because, I didn't conform to systems. I didn't write on the line in my book, so I was dyslexic. I mean, nothing worked. I had to go to a school shrink. The kid has to learn to socialize. The kid has to learn to adapt to the cultural programming. And I looked at this world, I'm like, what type of planet have you put me on here? And being indigo doesn't turn you into a genius. You know, that needs to be worked at. I had the capacity of multiple streams running. So I'm in school, daydreaming my world, dreaming of futuristic worlds, trying to interpret my dreams, growing up, being exhausted by topics that were taught that didn't really give me any resonance. So my brain getting in that state that it could be nourished, so I would learn. So very difficult. And for many of us, it was hard growing up in that aspect, you know. So I had good times and bad times in life. But again, what I learned is even what teachers used, I call it intellectual racism. They would pick on those that were not quick enough, that needed their time. They would pick on those that had a perturbed emotional body because they knew the weakness would be there. You know, as in Kung Fu, you know, you would be attacked because they know you're very emotional. Well, then the opponent will mess with you and mess you up. And I saw that in a schoolyard, in class, those that were very stable, very logical, very linear and rational. Teachers knew that too, and they picked them, and they got better grades. In the end, when I met these beings, same age in my class, they all got gray hair, they all crouched, all of them. I asked one that was a good friend, he remains young, in his 40s. But the others, teeth black, you know, smokers, being married for 20 years, not happy, lawyer, or being fired, or living on welfare, but nobody is in their prime or in their purpose or happy. And I'm like, could that be that I'm the only one? You're crazy, you left for another continent, you're crazy, you know, you're the one that flew over the cuckoo's nest. You know, you allow yourself these things. You don't have no obligations. Like, I'm Peter Pan, but I have a lot of obligations and things that I do cherish and that take care. But I learned a lot is like, I can sense people from afar. I can see where they are because of that. That I turned into a skill, not a frustration. I know how you feel. And I'm not perfect. But I know, even if people have the idea of killing themselves, many that I've talked to, that I could show them a different perspective, to not choose that option, to stay in life and continue because it is so important, are alive. They reconsidered. And like Captain Kirk asks Spock, did we change something? Did we do something good? And Spock was like, that wasn't that flick with that space ribbon. I don't know what that was called. That's when Captain Kirk actually dies. My favorite character is Spock. Maybe I have a Spock appeal because he has mastered his emotional body. He's not distant. It's more like you master your emotional body. You centralize yourself. You come to center. And I had a discussion, well, not a discussion, not a debate, more of an exchange with my brother Brian about, you know, the highest light and the highest night. It's the supreme aspect of your shadow, which is not necessarily evil, and the supreme aspect of your light. The supreme aspect of your shadow is that what you haven't looked at within yourself. When we come to realization, basically, of who we are and why we are, and why is it that we attract things into our lives that we don't want, that is called shadow work. Sometimes people say it takes a lifetime. I think it can take less if you have the insight to allow the things that happen to you to take place, so you can evaluate the situation, correct yourself, recalibrate, come back to center. Now here's the idea. If you run around and you're thinking you're Jesus or you're any holy figure, and you're just operating from your right brain, and it's all over here, yeah, then you are in an extreme of wanting to be in 5D, and you lose the anchor, which is here. Same thing as in if you are negative and selfish and you don't take care of people, that has to do with you not feeling yourself. You're running a program of you are in a relationship with yourself and only yourself, and you're not in a relationship with others that need to communicate. We are a cell structure. We need to communicate with each other. Very important. So when your highest night is over here and your highest light is over here, and you don't bring them to the center where the mediator sits, and the mediator in the triad is the pineal gland, you have problems anchoring the ultimate self in, which is you. Which brings me to the next deal, which is very, very interesting. I am watchful of my thoughts and words. If I feel the impulse to change or fix someone else in the community, I understand that I cannot know what is best for others. Therefore, I focus on telling them about me, not about them. The thoughts and feeling I'm giving myself about the situation are. And that's what the discipline is you step out of the loop. And I have to learn that too, not to be defensive, not to say, well, you're this, and you this, and you this. I hated that when my mother, or don't be hated when parents come with their fingers pointing, you, and you feel attacked. You don't feel listened to. There are two things that I've learned is, I'm a very good listener. At times, I miss that people see in me, you can use so much of my time, then I need time to recoup. That people need to learn, and that's for all of us, we all need to learn, when is the best time that I'm applying myself when I have something that I'd like to share. And energetically, knowing that you have energy systems, you have light cords that hover around you. You're like an interdimensional octopus. That's part of your energy system. Know it when you're leeching. Know it when you're mooching on people. Know it when you come with energies that are needy. Know that when you're a needy person. Needy beings, that has to do with yeah, you need certain things to be in place in order for you to feel happy. That is already you're concentrated with external stimuli. That could mean you're working from your limbic system. That means that is the reptilian aspect of fight or flight and survival mode. Many of us have that because our systems are crouched. I will do a video on healing your hardware top to bottom, which I guarantee you will change your life. And I'm basing that on people that did that and confirmed that. Not because I say so, and this is the rule, this is an observation. So I learn that I can listen, and there's a time when I can't listen, where I need the time for myself and my time out, where I need to recalibrate and come back in full force and full power and full gear. And if that overall is respected, we have a biological rhythm that can be enhanced within a community. We already have communities in cyberspace like Facebook, YouTube, Google Plus, create forums, you can create communities. That is in cyberspace for us to create communities where people get along, people don't curse, mutual agreement, and knowledge is exchanged, and we don't debate about who can win. To debate is easy because if you have an experience that helps you to achieve certain goals and somebody wants to achieve the same goal, there will be no difference. If there is a wall behind you that you have to climb, you can say, well, there's a safe route up, which I chose to reach that. And then I show you the evidence, as in metaphorically speaking, how I reached that goal. And then it's up to you to say, well, I trust this person. I think this person makes a lot of sense to me, and I resonate with what he's saying. Let me find that path. There's the other thing that says, well, maybe I know a better path. Let me try. For that, I really learned a great lesson in life that I'm applying for myself the best way I can, which leads me to the next sentence. I understand the value of humility when I'm expressing my perspectives, realizing that I'm not the ultimate all-knowing right now, and seeing the full picture from alpha to omega. It's a riddle. Remaining mindful of my limited understanding of the ultimate workings of life can help to keep me from shouldering on others, as in dumping, or making a case attempting to win a debate. I'm not trying to excuse me. I'm not attempting to create a case to win a debate. I'm merely here to share the adventurous beingness of self and creating an adventurous playground that can lead us into this ascension protocol, that we can bring more light in, enhance the frequency, and be more in that without having to say, this is what you have to do. Sometimes a presence is all you need. Sitting next to each other by the fireplace or somewhere out on holy grounds. And see, right now you hear the birds, the bugs, the wind in the trees. And I take myself out of everything external that I heard and let it all be and say, you know what, I give up. I surrender to love, but not in a stupid way. I'm being mindful, I'm being watchful, I'm being wakeful. I'm not running around aloof. I'm not blaming others for the situation in life that I attract, because I'm responsible for the reality that I create. And that's for every one of you. If you feel you want to change the program, you are the one that is our creator. You have the allowance in this dimension to change the program at any given time. Of course, changing programs puts you in an uncomfortable situation, which is where the responsibility of self comes in. Responsibility, the ability to respond divinely, to create a situation where your solitude and your tranquil and your peace comes back. I'm learning that by dealing with a lot of people, because everybody has a different opinion. But if I have a lot of people that I can't get along with, or there's certain groups that I don't want to pick because I don't feel important or seen enough, well, then I have to go back to myself and find out in myself, what is that I don't feel seen? Or can I step out my game, be my own mayor? You don't have to have a town. And be loved and liked for who I am. Do I have enough self-love within myself that I carry, that I can say, you know, right now, and even as I'm doing this video here in this old riverbed, I love doing it. I'm okay with me. And I think me is enough. And I think we have to get over the fact, like every time we are being ourselves, that we are afraid that we will be left. That's what this unconditional love gets totally out of whack. Let's not forget this, we're still talking about unconditional love. Unconditional love means I'm not conditioning you in the way you are. What your preference is, what you do, how you talk, how you communicate, whatever. I'm being transparent in that and open with that. And we are afraid if we do this, then our friends or our partners do that. And we hear the threats growing up, all of us. If you do this, then I'm going to do this to you. It's a war. And we run around, blame the conspiracy theories, the governments, Obamacare. What? Find a topic. It's never us. It's always something else. And we need to bring it back to the body, find out what is that in me that doesn't work right. What is that in me that upsets me, that has to do with me and only me. And what do I do when I feel that I'm not being heard? Like, one of my therapeutic things that I'm doing for you and for me is doing videos where I read the responses of people. And with emails, please keep it brief because I'm overwhelmed. So I can give brief answers or say, watch that video. Is I hear myself, I watch the video and I hear myself again and I see how people reflect that what I say. And then I go, ah, and I'm hacking my own consciousness in a positive way. So I'm doing my best to get out of rigid concepts, things that do not move, things that seem to be in place, and where I'm looping myself, I need to catch myself like, uh-oh, you're going in the same pattern here again? Why are you doing that? Change that. And then I watch it and change it. And sometimes I'm afraid when I change or I get neutral, people think I'm distant or I don't participate. I think I participate at times too much. I think at times I care too much, and I guess that has to do with all of us. We're so involved with everybody else's life or lives that we forget to take care of this here. What are you doing here right now with this, for this, to be in a happy state? I invite my higher self's guidance and wisdom in order to non-judgmentally listen to others' perspectives, as well as to truthfully and non-judgmentally voice my perspective, because that is what is alive in me. I speak and listen from my heart, which is a tougher. Try to talk to a friend. Always takes two to tango. And the friend has a different opinion, and the friend says something that triggers you. I'm learning, how do you work that trigger? What do you do with that trigger? How do you apply that in life? And what does that mean? Why are you being triggered? And can you step back by not snapping back at somebody and cut it? And see that I can't make you do anything. Of course we can manipulate. I learned a lesson a while back ago. What was that? Almost 20 years ago. I had a girlfriend. And she was doing actually the opposite of things that I would have done, which got me into situations that were very uncomfortable, out in the open. I'm not going to go into detail because that's not about that. So I tried to control the situation. So I basically put a guardian up, an alert inspector, evaluator, and interrogator that would say I can't do that. I'm not doing that. The thing where I was corrupted was that I was threatened if I would act on certain things just defending my freedom, there would be in retaliation. So I tucked it for a minute. I didn't say anything. I was just watchful and just went, well, then anger goes somewhere. Energy unreleased goes somewhere. In a minute said, this is it. This is as much as I can take. And this is what we're all afraid of. But I want you to free yourself from that fear. That you speak your truth. Even if somebody threatens to say, well, I'm leaving you if you like red more than blue. Well, it's your opinion. And you're cherished and you're loved for that. You don't have to love what a friend loves or a partner loves. And say, this is you. And nobody should be trapped by one another for obligations or conditioned love or whatever we have. I'm learning is you're free to be and go anywhere in life and create anything you wish to do. And that's when it gets scary. You have the responsibility for self, to create self. And then it goes deeper. Then they have other things that I like. They call them co-creator agreement. Is we recognize that aligning in a shared agreement field is essential in order to cultivate and maintain harmonious relationships and well-being. The following agreements were first established by so-and-so and so-and-so, by the groups that were involved, which is not that important. What's important to me is the essence of these establishments. One is be mindful. My intent is to be myself, to be authentic, and to be fully present. And this is the first thing. When that begins, a lot of people will have problems with you. They'll find a problem. You can paint yourself blue, put on, I don't know, a clown nose, run around town, you'll run into problems. Very hard to practice. So this, to be yourself, to be authentic, and to be fully present it has to be adaptive into where you are and how you do that. Greatest problems we have with people is with their sexual preference, how they live their sexual life. Superior dysfunctional thing going on here. With ownership, with what they call it, polygamy, polyamory, monogamy. We have a lot of labels for these things that we don't understand, and we are very quick to prosecute. And the world is not ready yet to understand what love means, what intimacy means, what relationships are, how deep they go. I had channel visions, and it has nothing to do with preference, it's just an evaluation, of in the ancient times that all the tantric temples were destroyed. Everything that was a love healing practice was a curse. So try to find a book that talks about these times. Try to find women that remember that there used to be nuns in these holy monasteries where mutual love was there and people were healed, and it was not prosecuted or demonized or misused as nowadays. If people just use these labels to do, call yourself what you will to feed your needs or your ego, doesn't work. It's an energy spectrum on a telepathy level. Once that returns, we all understand what that means when love returns in us, into our hearts. We don't feel so disconnected from the source, which is important. We don't argue or say, well, that's your opinion. It's not an opinion, it's an evaluation. It's how I see you as a beautiful, harmonious, powerful race. Then, the next, realize your potential. My commitment is to realize my full potential and support others in doing the same, which is what I do. Where I have the problem at times when I'm trying to do that, or assist or make it easy, or things are missing and I fill in the blanks, that people don't see me, or they don't feel me, or they just come, take. I appreciate when people say, I know what you're doing. I appreciate the exchange. Thank you for making this a nice ride. Or whether it's be a friend and it's a group of 4, we want to go to the movies and somebody doesn't have $10, then I make it my mission to see if I have that. Everybody is going. And we should all do that with each other on all levels and aspects of monetary systems. As long as we have it, we shall utilize it. We cannot just cut it out and abandon it. It's like saying, well, the liver doesn't function right. Let's cut out the liver. Well, how does your body detox when you cut out that organ? So, the monetary system is part of a system that we have created. How about we heal that? We are very quick to say, money is the root of all evil. I say, well, it's the doing of mankind that's the root of all evil, not the monetary system. It's your intent behind you moving this unconditional cash, which has no contract, which is not be spelled or evil. It's only what you put on it and what you do with it. If you buy seeds to plant flowers or trees, that's where you can direct the energy. If you buy something that leaves toxic waste and you pour the residue out in your backyard, see the intent in that. Money is not making you do this or that. It's what you do with that. Follow my guidance. I agree to attune with spirit and follow the calling of my soul on behalf of the well-being of the whole. Difficult. I moved to Sedona because I was contacted by angels. Well, how many people will take me serious? How many people are in resonance with what I feel and what I receive? Remember, like Noah built the ark? However that took place, use it as a metaphor or as a myth, because this is not here, this is an ancient timeline. As a pioneer, I looked at all these scientists you are laughed at. Tesla, Einstein, in the beginning, you are laughed at. I learned that people begin to respect you once you have accumulated material wealth. And then all the sharks come and everybody wants a piece because they want what you have, because they can't generate the energy for themselves. And I believe we have the opportunity to learn to generate energies for ourselves. Not needing nobody else to give us anything, but in a community to be a massive and powerful creator, generator that brings an energy that can be shared, and you're not being depleted because it's mutual, it's in balance, and the energy is shared. And I think unconditional love has to do with the sharing of energies without condition on all levels of life. And it'll be very quick to see how the supercells of Earth will create these fifth dimensional communities. Diana Cooper talked about it. I listened to a speech she gave in Hamburg, Germany, and she said there will be people that will hate you the way you live, that will be repulsed by what you organize and put together. And this is how the magic begins. Those who let go of the principles of the old paradigm, we're still living the remnant memory of the old paradigm. And the magic begins when you let that go. Sometimes some people, are too locked on where they live or how living should be, and laws and rules and regulations and everything that they have outside of their mind to evaluate the system is you on overload. Your frontal lobes are just running like crazy. And in my observation, I've seen that it leads to a collapse. You burn out and you break down. That's when I say maybe that's what I do. I do my little retreats every now and then. I do my hikes. This right now is like we call it a video retreat where I'm having a conversation with you. This is personal. This is free. And I'm sharing my perspectives to see how you would reflect how I see the world. And if I'm wrong, or if there's something that I don't see, I stand corrected. Because of the posts that I receive, I retract, go back, and look at things, shadow aspects, not necessarily evil, things that I haven't looked at within myself, and try my best to correct them. Now, communicate with integrity. I agree to tell the truth with compassion for myself and others. Not easy. And I'm not saying these things to drill you with what's difficult. It's just look at the global picture. When I worked with a group of people that I felt that would steal from me, and I even had the proof that things were stolen from me, and information was spread behind my back that I had to find out through third parties that were spoken. The minute I spoke my truth, it was upset for the perpetrator. And that is where we shall not be afraid to speak our truth when divinely guided to tell the others how things are done. If people go, and that's just a metaphor, to take water from the well, and they disrespect the well, or they poison the well just for their own needs, and I sit by the well, I'll protect the well and I'll tell people, well, I don't appreciate you doing that because this has this effect. And you can look at this, and I'm saying that, and I'm not running the world, but this is what you're doing. It's like saying somebody has to build a dam. It dries out a riverbed where other people live. One board of the advisors say, well, if you build that dam in 20 years, we have no more water here, and these people need to migrate. And then you have the other group of board of advisors that say, well, we need that because we have electricity running in these towns, and there's money involved, and we need to build that dam. So this group says, this is how we feel. The other group replies, like, we don't really care how you feel, and we don't really care about the consequence. What we want to do is this, and it's been put in place. And there are these beings that come in, such as I, and there are many of you out there that say, well, if you do this, in 15 years, watch the dam break. Because you do not listen to the divine guidance. And this is what the divine guidance says. So who's to evaluate when divine guidance comes in? Well, guess what? Thank you. Bird medicine. Thank you. And in 15 years, the dam breaks. And they are told, oh, if I would have known that earlier. I wouldn't have. But you couldn't have because you decided not to listen to the divine guidance. That is where a lot of people listen to the egoic guidance of need, the parasitic guidance of need, and what they need. And interestingly, it's like, pick a house, take 4 people, 4 rooms, and let the community say, well, let everybody pick what they'll pick. And interestingly, you'll see the chapter. One will say, I want the master suite. And I want the next room, and the next room, and I, and I, and I, and I. Then there's this other person that says, oh, I found a spot here. That's nice. And then person number 3 comes in and says, well, I want that spot. Person number 4 says, okay, you can have that spot. Well, I find a spot over here. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, then person number 1 comes in, but I want that spot. And person number 3 merges back and lets everybody have their place because they want to. And person number 3, that is how I observe myself, has this, it's like Cinderella, has the smallest and tiniest spot, is happy with himself, and makes the best out of the situation to create that, what he, or in the future, she, whatever that being wants. And then person number 3 watches the other beings. They're not happy. They got the biggest room, the biggest this stereo system, TV, whatever, you name it. They have all they want. They're not happy. And they're pissed. And at times, person number 3 is looked at, why are you so happy? You know, oh, it's all good for you. All the great, and they look at you, and they can't even leave you alone. As a kid, when I played in the sandbox, all the kids around me, and it doesn't make me superior, just what I don't know what lesson that is here for what that is. My midheaven is Leo. I'm a natural leader. When I lead things and I put things together, I fuse them into a universal platform that is functional, that you won't even know that I was there, but it works for you. That's my idea. That's the new psychology. Call it cosmic psychology. Really seeing where you are. Like, can you go out with a 10-year-old, have him bond with you, and then tell you he had the greatest time of his life with you? Because you gave him the space that the kid needed, because you see yourself in him. That's what I've learned. I see myself when I was 10, when I wasn't listened to, when I was pushed, when I found out that probably my mom had an induced birth. So as a child, pre-traumatic experience, I was forced into this world. Now guess what? Every time I'm trying to paint a picture, trying to get a house, establish land, go for bigger things, and people want to push me, it is very hard for me in a natural, divine, guided process to deliver these things because they're pushing me into a speed which is not my natural speed. And when I say that I can't go that fast, very quick I see who will leave me and who will stick with me. And all my life, people came and went. So when I see that, people don't see that in me. I sit down with the child. Sometimes I do hikes, energetics or activation hikes here, private. And energetically, I take myself out of the equation. I do not make myself so important. And people say that when you say the things you say, you could sound cocky, or it's like you have your willpower over them. No, it's like when you're confident, you sound like that. There's certain things through experience that worked for you, you apply them, that's how they work for you. That's why you apply the things the way you apply them. And if you're by yourself, or in nature, or go back hundreds of years of survival mode, there was the dude in the mountains that said, well, this is the path that you can take, and this is how you survive, and you eat here and here and here and here. That's when I learn, see the master for who he is, take heed, bow, be respectful for the knowledge that he brings, and walk the path of a master. He did it before. Once you've mastered the path that was mastered, then you begin to go abstract. I learned my lesson in Kung Fu when I studied Wing Chun for, you could say, 15 years in the Dragon Academy, New York. When I met my Sifu, I was humble. And when I got cocky, like, oh, I got moves now, he would humiliate me. But for the reason to understand, it's like, don't go overboard with the skills that you have attained because you have yet to master them. And when you master self and centralize self, as in bringing highest light and highest night into one being, into your central frequency, then you get creative and abstract. That's what I learned with hip-hop. It's always the same storyline, whatever craft you learn. You can be a butcher, baker, roofer, construction worker. It's always the same. When I started with hip-hop, I looked at the masters. And I didn't discuss with masters or do anything. Yeah, everybody talks a lot of big game, what they will do, and a lot of loud mouth. Now, here's the thing, is I went to these hip-hop concerts and I just was silent. Like the master on the hill. And I went to the hip-hop concert and I stood there as a fan. But not seeing myself as a fan, seeing myself as an observer. This is what worked for me. If you're in resonance, good. If you're not, good. I'm just sharing that. And I put no condition on the event. I had little money. I was an apprentice as a TV VCR mechanic. Can you imagine? I made somewhat like around $150 a month. So, budget that today. And I had one drink, like a Coke or some apple juice. And I stood there and watched these rappers perform. And what I did is I observed with everything that I had, observe and learn. Observe and learn. Do not argue with what's being presented. See what's being presented. Forget yourself. Lose yourself in what you're learning. And I dissolved myself completely in the aspect of I'm observing. I have become the observation. I have become the ultimate observer, looking at what I wanted to learn, which I found interesting. And everybody has a topic that's interesting. You can study that. But I realized the deeper you go, the more mastery you want to attain, the more you realize the dysfunctional world. Then you see the people that want mundane stuff, and they don't want to master that much. They don't want the capacity to master that much. But without due respect, these are the ones that come to the experts and ask them, well, how do you do this? Well, if you're not a car mechanic, guess what? Let the car mechanic do the job and fix your car. But people come to the car mechanic, as I have observed, and they argue with the car mechanic how he should fix the car. That is where I believe we have the opportunity to learn to, when you go to the dentist, don't tell the dentist how to do the filling. Feel out the dentist and let the dentist do the job to the best of his or her capacity. And you will walk out of there satisfied. So, even level. If somebody doesn't have all of this or that or that or this or that or this or that knowledge, then level with them. If they only know cars, then find a topic with cars and give them a good feeling. It's about giving them a good feeling. If somebody's not ready to receive a good feeling, well, you are not their slave, nor their servant, nor are you obligated to fulfill that. And you can say, well, it's nice meeting you. You know, I have to do my things here, and then you be on your way, and you do your business and do your job. And we shall continue. I act with integrity. I agree to keep my agreements, and will do my best to follow my heart in making commitments. I see that when, again, the principle of Noah building the ark, I'm trying to establish the city of light. Not an easy task, because it's a ginormous project. Read on the concepts on harmoniousearth.org. A friend of mine, Kirk, very powerful ideas are being shared. That we need supreme intelligence to establish that, to help heal the planet, and to heal with everything we have now, with what we can do, to the best of our abilities, without question, with integrity. Because karmically, right now, the energy spectrum is that high. If you act out of integrity, you're not in business. You're not happy. Integrity means What does that mean? If you have a bridge, it has an integral structure, if I'm wording that right. Well, if the little crossings, if there's things out of alignment, out of integrity, the bridge which holds the truth will fold. That is easy to observe. And people can listen to that or not. People can bitch about it or not. It's neither here or there. If I build my house on a weak foundation, guess what happens when the slightest flood occurs? Your house will disappear. Look at life. If I'm trying to bend and twist a river into a riverbed that it's not made for, guess what? The river will carve its way out of there, create floods because you brought it inward into the land. We always have that happening. Check all over America where the artificial canal systems are created, why they flood. And look from the satellite. Where does the flood go? The river runs it how the river runs it. All I can do, in humility and being humble, saying, I accept that way. That's how the river runs it. There's no other way. Nature is the master, and I sit back and I learn from that, and I don't discuss or argue or debate that. And then you will see in the future, communities will thrive from that when they listen to each other, harmonize with each other, live unbound and unconditional, which has yet to be created. It has not been created yet. We cannot openly speak about all topics yet because you'll be prosecuted, you'll be shot at. So you have to find initiates and teams with responsibility that can handle this level of communication and act upon it with responsibility and integrity. That has to do with, I met people that talked a great game about what their knowledge was, and I realized the knowledge was copied and stolen. And not to say you can't lean on knowledge, but if you can't embody what you practice, why do I have to listen to that? So why do I need something government, something that governs my mental? Can you govern your mental? Can you govern yourself within yourself and harmonize that what you need to harmonize within you in order to find your path without being angry? And I have a serious face, not because I'm angry right now, it's because I'm focused. I'm focused on the work that I do. This is what I do. This is my passion. This is my inspiration. This is what I protect. This is my bubble. I love that. I love doing that. Here's the point, the next point, which is at some degree you have to see, how much you can take. Deep listening. My mother hated me when I was on the phone. I was 16 and the girls called me. Yeah, what is your opinion on this guy? And I've been seeing this. And I'm sitting there on the phone for hours listening, giving my opinion. And I guess many from the past even forgotten that they talked to me. I was on the phone for hours, giving opinion and listening. And everybody told me, you're such a great listener. Well, deep listening. I agree to listen respectfully to the communication of others and tune in to the deepest meaning. Meaning, there's times when even I reach my limits. And I'm doing it to myself when I'm trying to fix the situation, when the situation doesn't want to be fixed, it wants to be experienced. And then I have to learn. I've learned now, even in this video, like it's my epiphany, that step back and see the meaning. And do the best you can to assist the situation. And let the person freely express themselves without trying to argue them into a corner, because you can do that. That is egoic. And it doesn't show you that you are really listening. It's like you're molding the situation the way you want to. So I shall not do that. But I shall listen with respect to others and to myself, to how much I can listen, and emanate the frequency of love. So pure, so undiluted, that the speaker that tells his own story, he or she, has time to reflect and understand, oh, this is me talking all the time. This is one-sided. I need to change something. And change something in their storyline without even retaliating. We all do it. We all did it. Nobody's a saint here. Nobody's innocent. We're all of angelic descent. We all have to learn certain schools of thought and angelic teachings come in as we channel this. And I'm calling myself a streamer, so I have a concept, and I bring in what right now my higher divine guidance releases right now. Then we have honor one another. I agree to honor each person's process, acknowledging that everyone, including myself, is making the best possible choice or decision we are capable of in that moment. Well, when that leads to people screaming at each other, you know what? I honor that too. That truth needs to be seen too. Maybe sometimes somebody has to scream. Maybe they feel like I have to express myself right now. I'm going to be heard, and this is how I feel, and this is not fair, and the way you're talking makes me feel this way. And right now I'm angry, and I'm angry because I'm, get mad. And release it. Reflect. Integrate. Come back. And will not come back with the same attitude. Because that's an aspect that's talking that hasn't been looked at, that's complaining. I have to be responsible. Again, the ability to respond in a divine way and correct manner. And when things get out of hand, you're like, okay, you feel like you want to do this. This is a little bit too staticky for me. And I feel like I want to distance myself. We talk about it. Let's see you next week. Allow people to retreat. Allow people in your field to say, well, I'm depleted. And I'm helpless. And I don't know what to do anymore. And come back to center. And listen to each other and energize. And the situation will heal. Because you will find out in life what you want to do, where you want to place yourself, where you're going. Dolores Cannon said that, and I, from my heart, agree, is once you go this ascension thing, there's no way going back. Like, you can say, well, I can go mundane living, a regular job, and go back to sleep, but the fact is, you peaked. You know what's out there, you know. It will affect you, and you eventually will come back to what you have to do. And I realize my commitment is that with everything that I have coming here, I'll do my best to establish that and anchor that. And once that is established, then I will see what shall be done next. But that's the download that I received, that something needs to be established and grounded and anchored in place as a commitment to Earth. Like when a shaman goes to the mountains and says, I commit myself and my life to up here. That's what I do. I'm with the trees and that's what I do. Well, the hardest for the shamanic soul, I believe I'm a shamanic soul, and I believe many of you are, is to say, well, let's bring that from the mountains, hold that frequency, find a community, and share that with a community, and uphold it, and stabilize it with all the tantrums they throw at you, especially when you're in a most powerful vortex zone in the world, such as Sedona. Everything will be thrown at you. Everything that you haven't looked at, everything that is upsetting or can be upsetting right now, if you have to clear it, it will be amplified, it will be in your face. But if you master the current of that what is upsetting, and you integrate, you're good. You're good. All there is peace. All there ever was peace. Now imagine monkeys in a prison for 30,000 years. All of a sudden the prison doors open and you are dimensionally free. Do what you will. Create your life. You got the internet. You got free websites. You can create hangout spots. Talk to people. Share your teachings. Do what you will. You're free. Now what happens to the monkey? Oh, you want the love of your life? Here. Oh, you want a $6 million house? Here. Or you want a car? Here. You want to be an astronaut? Here. What do you do with that? Now you can have it all. All the material, everything. You can have everything. The monkey is stunned because it doesn't know what that means to live in freedom. It never learned what is the experience. And now we're giving birth to a baby. Let us learn to experience what that means, the ultimate freedom. Not to be entangled in each other's storyline, to listen to each other and walk and share ideas and be free to do so and be respected and fully accepted for who you are. I believe this can be created, and I believe many are here that are listening that want that, you know. You know, why do we go to places and say, I hate this and you can't say this and you're full of it? This is like, I'll tell you, like, I'm not a guru. I'm not a whatever it is. I'm an ascension worker that wishes to establish a common agreement amongst the people that we can get along and develop our skills and enhance our metaphysical attributes, which is our godly birthright. And in some ways, I have ways to touch that. When I have that with my nephews, I always say, children know the truth. They come with me and they trust. Or when I do hikes, and it always works. Because I trust in my capacity, I trust in my delivery, I trust in what I do, because I had to learn that. When no one trusts you, you're not alone. Alone. You're actually all in one. And when you go back to silence, that's what I will do after this video. I just sit down and let it all run. I come back to center, and I'm good. And I will continue that path. Okay, I wanted to finish the video, but my battery failed, so if some things repeat, forgive me. I'm trying to edit it right. About the resolving of problems constructively. And I will keep it short. Go for excellence. I agree to support others and to be supported in participating at the highest level of excellence. Meaning in what I deliver, I shall not slack in deliverance of the conduct that I produce or the craft that I can deliver for whatever service that is required. Learn from experience. I agree to do my best to learn from my experience, meaning to sit back and reflect of things that happen to me as they happen, as they take place, truly not sugarcoating it, realizing this is my doing, this is action, this is reaction. This perpetuates karmic wheels. This is stepping out of the hamster wheel, if you will. Which leads to accept my imperfections. There are things that I can't do. There are things that I am not good at. These are human attributes. Even though we are extra-dimensionals or extraterrestrials or consciousness collectiveness in human vessels having a human experience, we're not perfect. The perfection is that we are imperfect. That is how we are in the light of the Creator. That is my take on it. Be a leader, and that means you. In every action and everything that you do, you control yourself. Have no expectations. Only expect the truth in your action in the now, but don't expect anything from others that is outside of your control. That's an illusion. And it will only disappoint you to show you what's the truth, what is the ultimate truth, and how does that feel if you're surprised by something that is a nice thing. So, be a leader. I agree to foster an environment of genuine collaboration in which all people, including myself, feel empowered to express our individual and collective potential. Yes, yes, and yes. Leads to service to others. I'm willing to open my heart, still my mind, and be compassionate in service to all life. That's for all. Everybody ascends. This entire planet is ascended. It's not a elite few and the rest is like, we're going to go to hell. That's old paradigm. We're here to create new paradigm. Do not focus on the old things that entrap the mind into only but a few and the rest blah blah blah. No. There will be a few that will be the pioneers. Yes, these are the ones that dare. These are the, you could say, sheeples that dare to jump over the fence. Reevaluate my commitment. I agree to choose and re-choose and participate in communities, or in the community that I create, or the community that was created that I'm in. It's my choice. In the end, as the wind picks up and the weather comes in, lighten up. While honoring all these agreements and taking them seriously, I aspire to do so with an attitude of light-mindedness. And I always say angels can levitate because they take themselves lightly.